So we tried to watch this live, but Twitch was having so many issues to the point where people were complaining about my streams. Their stream went down. So like we didn't watch the whole thing. I caught a little bit of it at the beginning, but it was such a mess that we decided to watch it again a couple days later. And it's now named UI Teams. So is there not? I don't know. I guess we'll see. But this is Star Citizen Live Ask the Devs UI Teams. What happened to the engineering? I don't know. Let's see. But I was looking forward to the engineering.
Hi, everybody.
The second callers were not available.
It's been a long hiatus for that little thing we like to call CitizenCon.
Bro,
welcome to Star
only
Citizen
they
Live.
turn on closed captioning
what did
by
I call
default.
This show? CitizenCon 2953, follow-up part 1, the UI and resource management people. We're probably going to have to shorten that for the thumbnail. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee, and if you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, it's where we take about an hour out of the end of our week and we chat with the wonderful developers who make our 2 games, Star Citizen and Squadron 42, possible. We've been offline for the last roughly 6 or 7 weeks. I don't know. Nobody ever looked.
They were offline for 6 weeks. That's crazy.
Jared and said that guy knows how to read a calendar to prepare for our big 2-day event, CitizenCon, out in Los Angeles. You just saw our might have seen our behind the. Ooh, I got a text message. Hold on. Domino's is offering 25% off garlic sticks. Where was I? I don't remember where I was, but it's muted now. We're back, everybody.
I'm not gonna lie. Who in am I crazy? Am I weird? I have never had my phone make sound. Ever. Since there was an option to have vibrate, I've always used vibrate. And you keep it in your pocket. I've never, this is just like a general question, not judging Jared, nothing, who cares? Somebody's phone's on, oh my God, it's 2023. It's really not that big of a deal, but I've never had the actual ringer on. And it's just on vibrate. That's it.
2-day event in Los Angeles. You might have seen yesterday's behind-the-scenes episode of Inside Star Citizen, giving a look at some of the things that went into putting that together, at least in the last days leading up to it. On this show today, and for the next several weeks, actually, we are going to be doing a series of presentation follow-ups with members of the teams who gave their presentations at CitizenCon. Up first this week is members from our esteemed user interface team, UI team.
Okay, so all I got to say to this is we're back. We're back to, listen, man, I know a lot of people give me a hard time about my content or whatever. This is kind of the level of React content. It is like, reiterating the same stuff that you've reiterated already over and over and over again or something. When I heard this and just hearing it again, I am so disappointed that this is where we're going. I don't know their behind the scenes. I know how hard it is to, make a weekly show on it's not a good situation. Right? It kind of sucks. So, I don't blame Jared for having to do this kind of stuff. But at the same time, just generally as a Star Citizen backer, I'm not going to lie, I'm disappointed. Right? I was looking at what they did for CitizenCon, and it was just, developers coming in, having some presentations or whatever. And I was really hoping that we were going to have like, some good ISCs and some good SCLs of questions and answers. I guess it's okay coming up because people have questions for the developers. But like part of me was just like, oh, oof. So hopefully the ISCs are good. And then the SCLs for, Q&As to follow up, I think is a very good idea. But for whatever reason, when I heard this, I was like, oh, so we're just going to talk about the same things that we saw at CitizenCon for the next rest of the year. That's a lot, but it also sort of makes sense because think about the UI. I had some questions. Engineering had some questions, so it makes sense. I just really hope the ISCs are going to be good.
Do you guys have a team? Is it like the Rad Cobras or something? Do you guys have a team name? Anyway, Zane, Emily, Bone, and Simon. How you doing, everybody?
Hello.
Hello.
Good.
So answer that first question. Is it just the UI team, or do you guys have cool?
We're actually 3 different teams.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, walk me through that.
So Zane and I are on the UI tech team.
Okay.
And
So I'm on the Squadron 42 UI art and design team for now.
And Emily?
The Squadron 42 feature team.
Okay. Simon, for now, you hang dangling over.
I think things are very fluid all the time. So,
Yes.
Yeah, who knows?
Boy, howdy, are they? Folks have. I think folks have seen.
Jared is significantly louder than the rest of them. So if I raise the volume so you can hear them, Jared's going to blow out our ears. So this is a great situation.
Through the messaging of CitizenCon and through some stuff they may have seen through the monthly report and everything, yes, we are rearranging some development resources at the moment, moving a lot of folks back over onto the Precision Universe now that Squadron 42 is feature complete. So we're excited. That was a big part of the CitizenCon messaging, was looking at all of these things that have been done or created for Squadron 42 and are now about to begin making their journey to the Precision Universe over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, depending on what it is and how well things go. You 4 constituted our Navigating the Universe presentation at CitizenCon. We've collected some questions from the community, and we're going to jump into those for...
They put the mics on the same level, but Jared's just used to being like a presenter, basically. Yeah, but at the same time, if you really listen, they're turning down everyone's mics and turning them up when they start talking. So they're just a little bit lower level than... Like, they have somebody in the background who's literally getting paid to do, that and stuff and deal with this, and it's just a little bit lower. So this happens a lot with people I've seen. It's not an easy thing to figure out on the fly. And I think what happens is when you do the mic checks, they end up doing the mic checks quite loud. And then when they actually get into conversations and talking to Jared, they're much lower. That seems to be what's happening. It just sucks. I'm just telling you why, if somebody says, hey, volume low, I can't deal with it. On the YouTube video, I think it's going to be fixable because I can boost things up but limit the max volume, so we'll see. But
a few minutes
here it's a little harder
because
on
this
the
is
stream.
really the first time we've had to chat since we got back. How was your experience? Did you enjoy CitizenCon this year? Did you run into any crazy stalkers? Tell me what it was like from your perspective, because I was just running around like a chicken with their head cut off the whole time.
I thought it was really cool because it's the first CitizenCon I've actually been to in real life. So presentation we did was a bit scary, but after that, getting to meet the backers and just see the show and everything, it was really nice because when you sat at your computer all the time just making new stuff and thinking, oh, it's full of bugs, or we've got to fix, or we've got to get it done on time, you don't really see people that appreciate the end result. So that was really cool.
Anyone else?
Yeah, superb. I loved it. It's super exciting. And it's weirdly, I get to see loads of bits. It's like a really extravagant show and tell for us as well. You get to see bits of the game that from other teams that I've not seen. So I'd not seen the Hold the Line video. I deliberately held it back. And then when I watched it, I was quite emotional, sat at the back of the auditorium. It was really, really exciting. So weirdly, I enjoyed it as a participant as much as being involved in the actual show as well.
That's cool.
I think it was really cool just to be able to show off what we've been working on, and I'm pretty proud of that, and I was just really excited to show that map feature. I've actually lost quite a bit of sleep.
Their camera
on the lead
I saw
up
the
to
flashing.
CitizenCon.
I thought it was my capture
so I actually
card.
wasn't really feeling too well at the actual event, but I was I think adrenaline was taking care of that anyway.
Yeah, adrenaline tends to carry us through.
Guys, I was very emotional as well.
Like I think there's a number of people who went crashing down right afterwards, me included. Emily, what was your CitizenCon like besides bossing Boner in?
Yeah, I enjoyed doing that. Yeah, it was really cool. Like I've never really done anything at that sort of scale before, and it was just really nice to finally show off the star map after I've been working on it for quite some time. So it's
the star map, the interior map, the Moby glass. I mean, we've talked about this on and off over the years. I've been doing this for about a decade now. User interface is one of the only aspects of game development that touch every single other element. There's nothing that goes into either one of these games that doesn't have to go through you in some way, shape, or form, that you don't present some aspect of it, make some aspect of it usable, tangible, and stuff like this. So it can, as Zane said, it can lead to some long nights and some long hours and whatnot. But it was super exciting to me to finally be able to pull the curtain back, because we've been waiting to see some.
DLSSFG when? This is the UI team, dude. It's not the VFX people.
And so as we jump into the questions, one of the first questions
I'm glad they went right
we
into
don't usually
questions.
do a one question, but I saw that you had these on there. It does all of this stuff.
I actually, and here's the thing, is Jared decides, and their marketing people decide, it seems like, no when questions, but the developer got to decide to answer the when question, right? And they just let it go. So just answer them, dude. Like, what the hell?
Have to wait till 4.0, or will some of the stuff that you showcased come in before?
Especially in this frame of reference.
The Magic and Fabled 4.
Right? Is they have all this, like, we can't say it. But you know what? Like, this type of like, do we have to wait all the way until 4.0, which is very clearly nowhere near? Or are we going to get some of this before then? That's not really a when question. That's a, are you actively working on getting this to us as quickly as possible? That's different than a when question, in my opinion.
4.0.
Well, the easiest answer to that question is just wait and see. But no, we're hoping to bring things in a bit at a time, so it won't be like a big lump of like, here's all the new features. So like when they're ready, they're going in, and they're going to be as ready as soon as possible. So we're all doing our best to get them actually from like being showcaseable to being production ready, so release status. So which is still quite
and that's
a jump, but
because he says, and that's still quite a jump. So that's the one thing that maybe like players like myself don't quite understand is what does that jump look like, and how big of a jump that really is, because they showed it to us in the game that we play, and it looks like it just works, right? So, them saying, hey, that's quite a big jump is still, something that is going to take some time. And that's why we're hearing, like, even though everything looked really, really polished, that's why it may be a year or so, right? In the next year or so was the communication around when we were going to get a lot of this stuff. And I think we both know, all of us know that we're not going to get everything that we saw at CitizenCon. They've never delivered everything that they've showed at any event ever, and they never will, because that's not real as real life. Things happen. So the idea of some of this stuff coming in, because seeing it polished is so different from what we are used to, right? So the idea that this stuff is just going to come in, in 322 is not super likely. So I do like to hear that, and it's setting the right expectations of, hey, when the star map's done, you're going to get the star map. When the FPS map is done, you're going to get that. When the FPS scanning is good, you're going to get that, and it's just going to come out in pieces to us, and I think that's fine as well.
We're doing our best.
Well, I imagine most of it is just as simple as take the step you did for Squadron, check the make multiplayer box, and it'll just work in Star Citizen, right?
No. In a word. Where'd you start?
I got to snort.
See, like, it sounds like a really big undertaking.
I mean, just
also, thank you,
the codes, a multi-day, multi-week problem, and then there's additional features for, let's say, the visor and the mobi-glass, which are obviously maybe not in Squadron, that are going to be in the PU, and then there's obviously different maps and different layouts, and also. Yeah. People can go anywhere and do anything, and like the combinations of stuff that people can do when they're playing the game all need to be tested and go through that.
Skydancer in the chat said that stuff looked pretty far along, and it is. It's as far along as we showed it at CitizenCon. But
I mean, visually it looks great, right? Visually it looked fantastic, but maybe functionality. I think the star map still needs a little bit. They even mentioned like there's some other, I think, search features and how they wanted to list things. Like there's still plans for that. They didn't show a complete star map. Like let's say the looting UI felt very complete, right? The star map and maps felt a little bit further away.
Again, that was for the single-player environment, and integrating it into the multiplayer environment will take the work of not just your team, but multiple really QA teams and multiple other Precision Universe teams. You got to hook it into the mission system. You got to hook it into the the overall location system and stuff like this. So yeah, server meshing. And the replication layer, all things that aren't necessarily a part of the Squadron development, and you now need to take account for.
We thought server meshing was part of Squadron.
Scare anybody away and be like, you're not going to see this stuff in a year and whatnot, because I can already see the chat. It's just we want to be very forthcoming that this isn't stuff that's going to show up tomorrow, but it's not necessarily stuff that needs to wait until 4.0. You guys will tackle the work, and as the work is completed and ready and go, it'll go into the PU.
Yeah, we're not holding all of that we showed at CitizenCon back for the 4.0 release. When it's ready, it's ready.
When it's ready, it'll go in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's maybe something as a community we should kind of want to ask for is like what features are you holding for a 4.0 release and what features are you not holding for a 4.0 release, right? And I think that would be really nice. Some of the features that they're not holding for a 4.0 release are going to come in on a 4.0 release, but the just because, right, they might not be ready, and then 4.0 is, and okay, we'll put that feature in after or whatever. But the thing for me is like it's obviously pyro and obviously server meshing, maybe not, and then just to kind of know what to expect, what we're looking forward to. I don't think they do a very good job of what we should look forward to in a short period of time, but yeah, we'll see.
Team leads are
Kronz,
planning that right now. I was talking to
Jens a little bit
earlier about can we do this here and can that go there? So yeah, we're on the case as well. We're figuring out how soon we can get stuff.
And some of the things are
okay.
out of this group's control as well. So like
perfect.
The interior map, you think, well, we showed the Carrack, but we've got a few other ships that we'll need to ensure look great.
Okay, yeah, so they showed a few ships, but they don't have all of them,
Speaking
obviously.
of the Carrack, let's jump into some of these questions we collected from the community. This question says, what is the role of the cartography station holosphere in the 600i or Carrack? What's the role of it if you can do everything from your mobi-glass? Will it sync with your mobi-glass? Does it do something different than the mobi-glass? What can you tell us?
I think the
prepare your emotes, dude, because this is ridiculous.
The main thing is as we mentioned in the Hold the Line view, we're trying to really emphasize the physical interactions with the world, and that makes the experience a lot more immersive and engaging. Because obviously, if you can do everything from the mobi-glass, right? Like how compelling is that? It's obviously it's not far-fetched to imagine in the future we'll might be able to control everything with AI and brain chips and stuff, but doesn't really make for a compelling gameplay. So, and also with the I think the hologlobes, the big thing about it is like there should be like certain benefits to using something that's like specially geared towards the ship they're using. Like for instance, like networking. Like if you have like a lot of crew members that you're working with, like I think it would be like really nice to be able to like amalgamate the data so that like what you're showing on like one display, like one hologlobe.
Everybody's standing around the hologram.
So it's like amalgamating their like individual data into like one sort of display, and then they can make like strategic planning. And
so if you can't tell yet, this is I think it would be cool if I could do. Not, we have a design document, and this is what we're working towards. And that's the problem with this game, is we do not have any plans for anything ever. That's what they put out there, and that's what it feels like. They may have them, but the question was, what are your plans? And that's what was so good about CitizenCon is they sat down and they said, these are our plans. This is what we're doing. And I went, okay, I think I'm going to like this game. That's cool. Now we're back. We're back to the bullshit that we always get on all of these shows, and it's super frustrating because you put developers in front of the screen and they do share what they want to do. And that's no hate towards anybody on the screen or anything, but it is a bit of feedback of like coming from somebody who follows the game. It is so hard to know what game we're playing when most of the conversations are what we would like to do instead of what we're working towards. I want to know what we're working towards. Then I don't have to ask when questions. I don't have to do any of that stuff because then we know what the game is going to be, and you just sit along for the ride and figure it out. But if we're having a bunch of conversations, and maybe this is a bit of feedback towards Jared here a little bit, would be like, as the host, you gotta say, okay, well, they asked, like, do you have any plans for it currently, or are you not, addressing it right now, and you're gonna look into it when you see other scanning or what, other features, and then see how you want to make that unique, because that is what he's saying. Like, I want to make the globe unique, but he's going off of like his ideas of where he would want to take it. But nobody knows if those ideas are possible, how they'll work, are they fun? Nobody knows that. None of it was tested, right? And we want the developers to be ambitious, and we want them to do cool things. I don't want to take away from that. I'm just saying that's not the question that was asked. You know what I mean? So that's just like my thing of how do we know what's real and what's just what we hope to do? And I think that's where a lot of people get confused with this game and thinking it's going to be something that it may never be.
Stuff around that. And then like the same goes for like the cartography deck or anything. Like I feel like also I kind of want to
right. We're hearing a lot of that.
Like
I kind of
really cool
want to.
Is to have like a Prometheus style terrain, like a cross section of the terrain on the holotable on a hologlobe, so that like when you're like scanning and like you're scanning for like resource deposits and things like that, like
this is
it's
cool.
Something that the ship like specifically does, and then obviously I think that information would then be able to like be saved to your mobiGlas, because I think your mobiGlas really is kind of like about displaying the data that you've acquired over time through the use of various equipment, and then like the other displays.
Yeah, I think what Shurkin says in chat, we need both the real answers and the maybe aspirations, I think, and I like that. But it is hard to be like, is this what you're actually doing, right? Because I think the question is really asking, what does the hologlobe do? And then he goes, I would love if it did this. And it's like, yeah, that's conversations for like backers, kind of like, man, it would be so cool if. But it does feel a little bit weird to have conversations with the developers in the same light, but it also is like, this is where the ideas for these things begin. But I think you really have to start out with, we don't have any plans for this at this time, like any solid plans, and then start with that and then move into my ideas that I want to do are this. And that's basically what he did, but it's not like super clear, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm being very nitpicky. Yell at me in the comments for it. I don't care. Because you'd probably be right. But at the same time, it is frustrating over the years. A lot of examples.
I guess will we add that?
Yes.
Oh, so yes, well, literally just as Galaxy View here. So
somebody was asking like, So we can see the solar system, we can see the interior map. What about
obviously we're getting
pulling all the way out to
Yeah.
the multi-star system? All right.
Yeah, so the plan is we definitely want to be able to kind of pull back even further. So if people have seen the star map on the website, we're thinking of something similar to that. So you can see all the different systems that will be in the game eventually. Probably we can only actually go to the two that we're working on at the moment, but we do want to have that big high level view, so you can see it all in context.
I also like the idea of being able to actually go through the jump points as well. So if we could do that, that would be really cool.
Yeah, just like the website. But then you guys saying the plan and eventually and pointing out that, guys, there's only 2 star systems, so obviously there's got to be a different solution for now until there's more, right?
Oh, like in the map, actually, just
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah, awesome.
Here's a perennial question. Jesus, I think we've seen this question since 2015, so the birth of the PU. Can we organize map markers and pins using folders or tags?
I think you should be able to. I think we should offer various ways of actually sorting through that data. So I think one of the ways is, I think that would be good is to be able to have user-generated folders, so that you can organize your own data and how you see fit, but also be able to organize it by hierarchical locations. So Stanton system, and then planet, moon, and be able to kind of filter your.
So again, this is a very roundabout way of saying no, you cannot right now. We should be able to. It's something I want to do, but it's not something that's in the works. That's what it feels like, right?
Markers that way. And possibly also tagging the markers, so you can kind of tag them individually, and then that will kind of go into the sharing of it, because you might want to only share a subset, right? So you need to have good ways of filtering by subsets of.
No, these devs don't just
being
build a
able
tech.
to add
It's
notes
both.
to the map markers, titles, stuff like that.
On the right side, tech.
Full labeling things.
On the left side, art.
Yeah, I mean, we already showed the titling. I think we should be able to
features.
Have that flexibility, because otherwise we're kind of you're kind of you don't want to be stuck in a box, and it's just so yeah, we'll look at that for sure.
We're going to start drilling down into it. One thing that one suggestion that we would probably will look into. We're not saying we're definitely going to do it, but we can potentially get data from the surroundings as well. So if you've got a mining deposit, we could potentially kind of automatically say what's in that deposit on your little marker. So things like that, we've got.
Yeah, and that was something that I asked a question about, and I really want, again, they're not saying they could do it, because we need to understand the gameplay implications of it as well, right? Because if you're just scanning and then all of a sudden the data's just up there and then you could share it with everybody, is that interesting? Is that fun? That's up for them to decide. I think it would be very cool, because then you can sell it and share it and so on and so forth. But I think top left's answer is a lot more based on in reality of, hey, this is something we want to look into, and we'll see if we can do it. It's something we would like to, but no promises.
Got potential to do.
Simon, thank you.
You just went right into the next question. Will the star map show details about planets, population, climate, available resources, factions, stuff like that? How far do we take the star map before it just becomes a galactopedia?
It could go anywhere, really. I mean, where it is now, where we're looking at it for now, it's probably going to be pretty similar to the function. Well, the core functionality will be kind of similar to what's in the current Star Citizen, just with this much better interface. But in future, if you've seen Google Maps, that's changed over the past 10 or 15 years, and it's constantly changing. We could do the same kind of thing with a star map if we wanted to. But
and I'm sure it will.
Priority is to make it nice and playable first, really usable. We understand that maybe the current implementation is not so usable, so there's a priority of making that usable, and then we can look at all these additional features.
I forgot what else it was that they said this. I think it was PES, where they were the goal is, with the initial implementation of PES, ooh, I hit my leg, is to feel pretty much the same as what you had before PES, but have PES implemented. And it sounds like it's the same case for the star map, is to just be yeah, all the functionality that you have now, we would like to bring in, maybe with a little bit more, and it not be just dog shit, right? So I think that's kind of the goal there.
We've got a feature list as long as you're on it. Oh, look, like, oh, that looks cool. We could definitely do that. Yeah, we should put that in.
It's just a matter of doing it.
I think knowing things, showing things that you know about on the map is sort of like really important. Like when you learn things about a planet or a location, then this could be integrated into your map. So like pinning stuff or like finding out about, I don't know, it's an icy moon with this kind of population, and whether it's safe or not, is a lot of that sort of based on your knowledge about what you've learned about the universe whilst you're exploring around it.
Well, there's that, and then there's things like the Galactopedia, which it exists outside the game right now, but eventually we'll begin to incorporate into the universe, and I imagine there's a lot of opportunities to plug into that and pull information from that. Just easy.
I think we as backers are maybe just expecting too much from the initial implementation of the star map, and I don't think it's necessarily fair for us to feel that way. But then at the same time, they have been talking about this star map for a really, really, really long time. Over a year. So given that, I think the expectation was for it to be a little bit further along than what we saw, maybe, or a little bit different or whatever. But I think the feature set that they showed at CitizenCon, with the ones that they want to deliver to us that they had mentioned at CitizenCon, I am totally fine with that. I think a lot of the questions that have been asked so far are like, well, what about more? And it's like, okay, let's get it in our hands first, and then over time we can add more gradually. I think that's totally fine. But
cross-reference through tags. If I'm looking at microtech, oh well, what other information? There's the information that I've gathered, or you've gathered, or members of our team have gathered. But then, what does the universe already know?
What, 11 years and nothing's done? Wake up! I'm talking about one specific thing. Shut up, dude.
Yeah. What's the governing bodies of the, find me a safe place to go around and refuel and things like that.
So I would say it probably seems more like a Galactopedia.
Obviously, the game as a whole is a mess, and I've been critical about that forever.
Into that in places once the Galactopedia comes online. Will the map show multi-stop quantum travel routes?
Well, so for now, it'll probably do very similar to the current implementation. So you can kind of plot multiple stops on the way, but for now we don't want to do like a full, I don't know, like if you want any sat nav on your phone, we don't want to go into that much detail where it's kind of doing everything for you. You can choose multiple routes, but I think in future, those kind of features do make people's lives more easier. So I think
you cannot build a star map and not have multi-route things. Like, it has to be a thing. That is insane to think that cannot be a part of the options. Like, the answer has to be, we will not have it in your first implementation, but we have to get it to, like, that has to be part of the functionality of the game, period. Right? Like, there are some things that are non-negotiable. That's one of them. Sorry. And like, to answer it in that way is super weird to me. Like, there's no way you can go into the project at doing the job that they're doing, as in working on the star map, and not having that be priority number, in the top 3, maybe 5. Non-negotiable things that have to be in the game.
It's the kind of thing we probably look into.
I don't want to later on through some really dangerous zone. I won't be able to avoid it. But it sounds a good idea.
Yeah, I think there's big things
it's
like,
a good idea,
I don't know,
because it is.
You want to be able to know where you need to stop for fuel and how far you can actually reach with your current ship and that kind of thing. We can probably improve the way that's dealt with in future as well.
The next question in the chat here, they're talking about whether your own ships can appear in the star map. Some folks, I don't want to name names, but they basically leave ships all over the Precision universe. It's just wrecks, hulks, some still fully intact. They just leave it and go to another one.
That's another thing that absolutely needs to be a thing as well. If the ship is in a soft death state or even not, like there needs to be a beacon and it has to work. And none of their markers have ever worked. Your death marker, none of it.
What are our options or plans to showing, our own detritus amongst the star map?
Well,
I guess I should respond to this because I don't know how they don't get it. So let me try to explain it. Maybe other people don't. Why do we need multiple routes? Don't adaptive routes allow this dynamically? You say you're a trader or whatever. You need to be able to create your own route. So, for example, I'm going to go to Yella. And then I want to go to Selen, and then I want to go to Daymar, and then I want to fly to Hurston, and then I want to go to the moons there, right? So basically how the current game works is you choose your initial stopping point, and that's it. And then there's nothing else. So that's what we need. We need multiple, okay, I want to go here, then I want to go there. I can't choose to go to Yella and then Daymar, right? As part of my route. So it should just always be in your computer and always ready to go. That's how the question was asked. That has to 100% be a thing. And it's not just for cargo hauling, it's just in general. And, and then maybe being able to share that route with your friends or whatever, right? So everybody can go along with you, that kind of stuff.
Well, we definitely will have the ability technically to do it. This is sort of like a design decision about what you can track and what you can, we always have a thing for tracking with the AR markers anyway, so there's no reason why anything that's on the AR would also be integrated into the mapping system to show exactly where you left it and float it in.
There's just so many bugs with the tracking, though.
Somewhere.
So many.
Yeah. I mean, for now, you'll definitely be able to see where your current ship is. Like if you just got out of your ship and wandering around, you'll be able to see that on there. I think we're going to, for ships that are, say you've got it locked up on a space station, for example, so it's not actually in the game world, that'll probably, for now, live in your inventory in the other menus.
That makes sense.
But yeah.
But yeah, definitely the stuff flying around is much more likely the ships that are associated with you.
Yeah. One thing we never really showed the radar very much at CitizenCon, mainly just because it didn't really fit with the flow of everything, but we've kind of improved the radar generally, and you can zoom into that and see it full screen the same way you can with the star map and so on. So there's the kind of things that you would see as contacts on your radar, you'll also be able to see that in the big version too.
Yeah, that's kind of like another use case for a ship hologlobe is actually the radar, and you're seeing all the ships and possibly the whole fleet.
Yeah.
And
planning a battle.
Yeah, it'd be so cool for multi-crew gameplay if you're stood around and you can see your friends flying around you and
ordering around.
Yeah.
So it's very much like a pervasive
around.
UI throughout the game. Serves a lot of many purposes.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Simon, because I was literally just talking about how because let's be real, we dumped about 71 episodes of ISC.
Bro, this is so ridiculous. I'm sorry.
In 2 days. And that's not an exaggeration. When you break down the number of topics and the number of minutes you spend on them.
The number of minutes. That's what I think he's basing it on. Not the number of topics and not what would have actually been an ISC, because they would have cut down all of the and the little delays and all of the things where they went over time into a very edited version of CitizenCon or whatever. This is so ridiculous to me. But yeah, it was a year's worth of development, that's for sure.
We did 71 episodes of ISC in 2 days. I know, because I was there helping you put them together and exhausted.
I'm not saying that it wasn't exhausting or it wasn't hard work. It's just that seems a little ridiculous to me.
So part of the challenge for this quarter and into next quarter is figuring out what the heck we're going to talk about, what's left to talk about. But one of the things we're discussing is we didn't really get to cover radar and scanning, a whole lot of stuff. So I was literally going to break that to you afterward the show, but I'll just do it now. We're coming.
Cool.
We're coming.
Yeah, it'd be nice to show that stuff, yeah, because we know what it does, but we're not told anyone else yet.
I think it's a pretty like interesting to see how he said it. It was like, I need to break this to you. We're coming. Like, these guys don't like to deal with this shit, I can imagine. So, and I think that's what makes Jared's job so hard. And I know it might sound critical towards him a lot. That's not really my intention, is to like put all the weight on him or whatever, because none of these people want to do this shit for the most part, I would imagine. But it's part of the process, you know. And
we're coming soon.
Jared's job very hard.
So the star map does take into account the stuff from the new radar and the new scanning stuff. Really cool.
Yeah. One thing, it's like you kind of got different views. So if you're looking at the actual star map view, that's like the camera's really far away from where the actual player is. So if it was real life, you wouldn't be able to see that thing from that far away. So you do have to kind of zoom into the radar view to see, say, ships flying around and so on.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous.
I think probably we'll have friends on the big version of the map as well.
Party members better be on the big version of the map.
Exclusively how you want.
Again, like you said, current functionality should be restored, but with a better usable interface, right?
Why this isn't a ship team, but will everyone, including non-team members, be able to see doors opening on a ship so that they can track players?
Well, I checked with Rich Tyler about this just now, and so yes, at the moment that's the way it's going to work. So
I think technically it'd be harder not to. Thinking it through, it'd be really hard to
exclude that data.
Yeah, exclude that data. Like if you know about the ship, you know about the inner workings. You might not necessarily know who's walking through it at any time, but you might go, that door seems to have opened and closed.
Right.
So it does have gameplay implications. So I know it might make it trickier for some people, but also people who do want to snoop on that stuff, it's going to be a fun bit of gameplay as well, I think.
Yeah. So a couple layers to that. One is, whether you can see people working in your ships. Another one, whether you can identify them. If they've done something to hide their presence, maybe you don't see them, but you'd still see your own doors.
Okay, so Rattlehead's hitting the nail on the head here, but I think what they're referencing is, maybe this is a little bit weird. What map are you in this question, right? We saw many different maps. So you have the engineering map where you see doors opening and closing. You have your mini map, and you have your Moby-Glass map all at the same time. So there's 3 different maps. So it really depends, right? In this case, of can you potentially ping in the engineering map to see people's, to be able to see people or something. If a door is closed, will your ping go through that door and be able to see through it and see, what will you be able to see and what view and whatnot? There's a lot going on there. But to see an actual player and be able to know and identify, like I think Jared was the one that pointed that out, it sounds like a ping will be needed, right? But can you ping when in the Moby-Glass? I don't think so. I can't remember, but I think that ping will happen in world when you're interacting with your character. But that's something we'll have to get in our hands, and I think if there's really bad gameplay implications, even though Bones said it's really hard to remove that data or whatever, they might have to, just because it might not be a good experience or whatever. But I don't know. I think a lot of this stuff is get it in our hands, allow us to provide feedback, and let's move on. Right?
Closing in your ship. Yeah, a couple different layers.
So the markers on the interior map are what you detect on the radar. So if you can detect people, like we saw the ping stuff in the demo that we did, then they will also appear on the interior map. But as you were saying, if they've got some mechanism of hiding themselves, then maybe they won't be so clear on the interior map as well.
Yeah, I mean, we have like the ability to hide and show different render layers. So like we could hide all doors if that's some gameplay requirement, or because also it's like you're able to see like the weapons on the ship as well, and all the different components. So we can like hide those individually. And I don't know if it's like something where we get just like a base schematic of the ship, and then you kind of have to like hook into the ship to get that extra information or whatever. So
yeah, so it's he's basically saying we have the functionality to do whatever's needed. It just comes down to like what Richard Tyrer says we'll do. And it sounded from Simon saying that Richard Tyrer was like, yeah, you'll be able to see everything, and that's how we're going to go about it.
That we just have that capability
at least.
Display.
Yeah, the fact it's live is really cool, and we've not really explored that too much for now. So maybe there'll be some interesting gameplay that comes out of that as well.
Something not necessarily needed for a single player game, but one of those considerations that come into play with a multiplayer.
Yeah, good point, Jared. Yep.
How does the map handle areas you don't know about?
Okay, so at the moment, the idea is...
This is probably the best question in my opinion, because it's the one that's going to change the game forever on this level.
It's kind of... You discover things as points of data. So say when you go into the Stanton system or Pyro or whatever, you'll see the planets, the big planets, probably the moons as well, but you don't necessarily know what's on the surface of that planet. So for example, if there's a mine or a mineral deposit or something like that, you're going to have to get close to that to actually detect it, and then it's going to appear on your map. So essentially, if you don't know about it, you're not going to see it. But as you explore the universe and build up this, your data bank, your map, it'll start to gradually populate, and you'll see more and more in there.
I want to know how the first time you log into the game, I want to know what it's going to look like. Because I think the main and the best descriptor or the best example I can give is I should never know where Grimhex is. I should never know where Grimhex is, and even when I get there, if I don't belong there, I should know that this is danger, but I don't know what it is, right? I should never know where Jumptown is. There should never be a marker there unless I was given one, right? So like when Jumptown goes live and you have a mission, hey, this is the location. Here's your jump marker to it. And here's maybe even the map. But as you play the game, you should experience newer things, right? So what they're describing is the best. A lot of exploration gameplay has been very confusing, and just creating a fog of war would create exploration gameplay. The authorities don't know about Grimhex. Maybe, but maybe you shouldn't know exactly where it is, or maybe you should like have a marker of this area is dangerous, don't go here, or something. Maybe my example isn't good when you say it that way. That makes a lot of sense, but there's just some things that it doesn't make sense for you to know where it is. Like, because if the authorities knew where the drug labs were, wouldn't they just bomb them into oblivion? If Grimhex was such a bad place, wouldn't they just destroy it? So that's the part of like, lore in video games doesn't always make perfect sense, and I think there's some examples that you guys are putting out there that are like, yeah, maybe this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So
looks like Twitch is having an issue right now, but we're going to soldier on because we're still recording.
Yeah, this is when I ended up quitting.
Chat's asking about hacking. Now, you talked about, you have control of the different layers and whatnot. So from an offensive standpoint, it's reasonable, it's possible, somebody could come in and start disabling layers that you would have access to, possibly through hacking.
Yeah,
it's conceivable.
If we want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, hacking, I think, should be the opposite of you start with disabled layers and you hack in and get more layers, right? That would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, again, sounds a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, the way the game's built is really cool. It's not like, we've got all these systems, but they all hook into the whole, so quite often they'll kind of interact with each other. So yeah, you might get sort of emergent, cool stuff happening from that kind of thing.
Okay. Will route finding go all the way from on foot to your destination on another planet? Like
oh, that's interesting.
How complete a route are we looking at?
I never heard this question.
Door to door, across star systems?
No.
No.
So you've seen on the the demo, the live demo we did, you can the on-foot routing is pretty comprehensive, so you can go anywhere within the location, just to anywhere else that you can actually get to. But we want to keep it when you're actually navigating in space. It doesn't basically say, we don't want to hold your hand too much, essentially. So the space navigation, you will have to plot the route like you do now, and so on. But there won't be this thing where, I don't know, go to the space station, get in your ship, then just it'll take you straight there, and then you've got to get out of the ship. That kind of thing. We feel that's a bit too far.
Not getting from my hab in Area 18 to my friend's hab in Microtech, door to door.
Yeah, and like one thing we do want to.
I mean, the example Jared gives, like, we don't want to hold your hand too much. It would take away the need for doing all the kind of signage and stuff like that they felt that they had to do more recently, right? Because things were confusing and the landing zones were hard to get around. But I think, okay. It's interesting because the moment I get into the ground view, it'll do that for me though, right? So I place a marker at my friend's hab and it's going to get me there. So why not just do it? I don't know. That one's a weird one for me.
Avoid as well is
seems like
there's
why
a term that some of the directors
there.
have used, which is called playing the map, where you sometimes, if it's too much of a sat nav, you don't even look at the game screen. You're just looking at this tiny little circle that shows you where to go. So we don't want that. We want
Sounds like there's going to be a balance that they'll have to figure out.
Crazy technical challenge behind that. Anyway, if you talk about the hub thing, it was like, well, where's
because I have definitely found myself playing games where you just look at the map and you're not actually looking at the beautiful game world because the map is too useful. So, okay, fair enough.
First step, does it route you to the ASOP terminal? And then does it tell you what ship to put? Because you might have 10 ships. So you might already have some ships on the landing pad. Which one is it going to pick? Is it going to pick the fastest one? Is it going to pick the safest one? I agree with you. No, I think just on a technical basis, I don't want to set off down that route. I think let the players play the game how they want and give them a hand moving around like some of our more complex environments. But it's not about like just you've seen people drive like this, right? Where they're just following the sat nav into a field or something.
Playing the maps are very
like
real
there's. I've seen one where somebody drove into a lake.
I eventually tapped out of, I think, like the Arkham series of games because I was just constantly in the map mode. I was just running around in map mode. I was running around in Bat Vision or whatever it was. It was just like, I'm not playing the game. I'm playing the UI. It was great UI, but it now superseded the game at that point. So
much as we like to promote UI, I think we've also made some great visuals beyond the UI. So yeah.
Well, I mean, like for instance, the new ship HUDs. Like we've taken like the effort to try to like clear up the view of like all these UI elements. Like it's like really cluttered in the PE right now. It's really messy, and so like that's kind of we want to clear it up so like you can appreciate the environments a lot more, right?
Well, what I really like about what they did is if I want it to be cluttered, it's my choice for it to be cluttered. So if you guys didn't catch that, the UI for the ships are very simple, but I have the choice of what I can put on my helmet UI. And I love that because player agency and giving the player the choice of what they like is so much better.
You say clear it up. So I want to ask you about customization. Customization.
Okay, he's going to ask about customization. I got to use the restroom, so I'll be right back. I'll do this for like the edit. All right, we're back.
I think again, since the first version of the PU went out in December of 2015, people have always asked questions about customization. Can I change colors, or can I change brightness, or can I change, or can I move this over here, over there? Talk to me about customization. We've only got a few more minutes before we switch over to Torsten and Guillermo, but I think this is what people would really like to know and have discussed: is how far are we looking to take this? Are there technical limitations that will just prevent us from doing everything we want? Just talk to me in general about how important or not. Maybe it's not.
Everything's blue.
Please don't say it's not. But
I love blue.
How important is the ability to customize the UI?
Well, it happens. There's two levels anyway. There's in-law customization, as in how you'd actually customize your ship. That's a bit beyond the scope of what I know about. But we also talk about accessibility as well. So the size of text, color blindness, and all things like that. So we have, as a system programmer, like, we have to deal with that kind of stuff. We're building all that in anyway, because we have to do appropriate things for color blindness and text sizes, so you can read things and not have just such tiny text everywhere. But that really helps the game designers as well, because the game designers will talk about how we want to be able to customize our ship, or we want to be able to customize the way a shop looks, or something like it. We from a systems point of view that I'm involved in, it's just about trying to make the UI as flexible as possible, so then we can do that sort of stuff.
Okay.
I don't know where we're at with the design for customization of
the art
ships.
side.
Obviously, the ships are one of the most important things. I mean, Yogi showed quite a lot of that stuff off at the show, which is pretty cool.
I think at the moment a lot of the
more that we can do as well.
A lot of the customization at the moment is things like on the MFDs, you can choose which MFD you're looking at, that kind of thing. For now, our main focus is like take all that information and get it good for the player, and also try and get it contextual, so you're not seeing things you don't need to see and that kind of thing. So, well, for now, you can't customize everything to a great deal. It hopefully is a better player experience. And I think longer term,
colors.
We've always talked about being able to have, say, if you buy a new helmet, maybe it has a different kind of style of UI. If you've got different mobiGlas, maybe you've got the pink version, for example. So I think tying things to items is probably going to be the first thing before we get to...
No, bro, why would you tie things to items? No, come on. Everything is a fucking item. And then guess what? There's going to be 400 different mobiGlasses in your fucking inventory, filling it up and just ruining the database like it always does. This idea of everything should be an item is so crazy to me. Instead of just allowing you to customize your one item. It's fine to have color microtransactions. That's actually okay. But stop making more items for customization. It's the part that I don't understand. Just allow me to take my mobiGlas and make it red one day and pink another day and green another day by using a customization system. Because it's just crazy to create all these crazy inventories of things like that. You have to go. So now I have to scroll through to find my pink mobiGlas. Come on, bro. That's crazy.
Players customize every single piece here and there.
Yeah, I think the customization will probably manifest itself first in like the accessibility options, like for color blindness and text size and things like that. And then anything beyond that's probably later down the line. So
I hope we can get cancerous text size.
Things like brightness against white backgrounds, microtech. But,
Yep.
I mean, is this an Awapo? Is this like this forever demon at the end of all the things UI? Is the UI against the white snow of microtech?
It's way more complicated than you'd expect, believe it or not. like you think, well,
bro, it ain't that complicated, okay? It's legitimately not that complicated. It like drop shadows work. Why are we not using them to the level that we could? I don't understand this.
With a drop shadow, or do we adjust the brightness? But yeah, we definitely know it's a problem, and we work.
These two guys, I'm sure, are like, just put a drop shadow, and then the art people are like, but it's not pretty. And then Chris is like, but it's not holographic and blue. I hate it. And that's what's going on here. It can't be this difficult. There's no way.
On it quite a lot, and then
it kind of comes and goes. We go through waves of like it'll.
How does everybody else do it?
Nobody can read it. We've got to fix it. So we make it better, and then it's like, yeah, that'll do for now. And then 6 months later, it's like, You can't read this. Can't read it on the snow background.
No, it's literally never been good, guys. Like, it's actually never been fucking good ever. When has my mining UI ever been readable? There is no vicious cycle. It's literally always been bad. Like, it's literally always been bad. There's no way.
So
they're saying that right now.
We'll get it perfect one day, but I'm sure there'll be more of those like waves as we get there.
There's no waves.
Won't be as
never
fast as
been
some
readable.
Won't be as fast as I want it. Let's just be completely honest. But sorry, I appreciate that I appreciate that you're aware of it. I appreciate that you're working on it. And I think some people.
I think Jared speaks for us here, big time.
Me too. All right. Last before we let you go.
Fuck me.
Bone, are you recovered from being a meme?
Yeah, that was an unexpected turn of events. I wasn't. Of all the things that I was predicting that could or couldn't happen, that wasn't one of them. But yeah, it was all very wholesome. It seems
very wholesome. Yes.
I appreciate the love of the community.
What was going on in your head, Emily? What happened?
He told me to do it.
I did, and this is true.
He told me to do it.
Can I say in my defence that, like, I asked Emily to be clear to say, what the problem was is when demoing something like the star mapping, I had a tendency to just go freestyle and just start spinning things around, and Emily was like, no, we need to actually demo specific features. So I said, well, you just tell me to do the thing, and in my defence, I couldn't hear a voice when we're on stage, right. And you hear the reflection because it was a big hall, and you hear Emily would say it, and then about half a second later I would go like this. So it made me look like a bit of a muppet to use a Mancunian term.
I lied. Not the last question. There is
confirmed.
One last kind of bugaboo question I want to ask about a landing UI. That's but besides the adjustments and the customization,
we love Bone,
one of the
man.
big forever questions is the return, either the return or the next iteration of some kind of downward facing landing UI to help folks out. Any joy, any love, any hope you can offer anybody here?
Yeah, so I have looked into it to some degree. It's not very progressed right now, but it is something we're thinking about and working on. So
cool. Love to hear it.
So using that holosphere for useful stuff.
Watch this space.
You switch to Emily's camera. Emily wants to look right at that camera and say, "I'm going to give you a landing UI."
I'm going to give you a landing UI.
I promise.
I promise.
Oh no, they made her promise.
Right. That was the opposite of what I said would happen at the beginning, huh? So. Thanks, guys. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with us and be here with us.
The Emily hate threads are going to be coming within the next year.
Thank you for everything you did in putting together that CitizenCon presentation. I told you when we first started talking about it, it was going to be one of the most sought after and enjoyed presentations, and you guys absolutely delivered. So thank you so much. Torsten and Guillermo, are you still there? Nope. Okay. So we've lost our second guest, so we're going to take a short break and see if we can't get them back on the line. And if all things work, we'll be back with Torsten and Guillermo for a follow-up to their resource management presentation.
Okay, we're only 35 minutes in, but I heard Torsten and Guillermo didn't make it.
So stay tuned.
So what's going on?
Yeah. Yes. Hello.
Okay, they are there.
We're having a day here. Apparently, when you don't use the studio for 6-7 weeks, everything breaks. Welcome back to Star Citizen Live.
They did it for a few minutes? Okay.
Joining us for the second half of the show are Torsten and Guillermo from the EUPU gameplay and feature teams. Welcome, guys. Say hello.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Hi. Oh, they're in Frankfurt.
It's going to be one of those things. All right. So, you guys did your presentation on the resource management system, sometimes referred to as the engineering gameplay system. How'd it go? Was it well received? Did you guys have a good time? Talk to me for a minute while I work on one more technical thing.
I think we didn't get all the time to talk about all the things we want to say for engineering, so it's good that we have this segment to clarify a lot of the questions the community is having, and so that Torsten can really, go on and on about his designs.
So Torsten can go on and on.
Yes.
Would you agree with that, Torsten?
Well, partly, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we had to rush it
Show me the whiteboard. I want to know what's on the whiteboard.
On stage, but yeah. So it's good that we have the opportunity to talk a bit about it.
Yeah, you were the unfortunate. You had the unfortunate placement of being directly after the Future of Star Engine presentation.
The unfortunate placement, dude. They fucking killed it. I think it was the perfect one to come after it. Interesting.
Which started out as a 45-minute long presentation like all the others, then grew to 55 minutes, then 65, then 75, then 85. I don't know what the actual runtime was, but if somebody can look it up on YouTube and see, but I'm pretty sure we got upwards of nearly 90 minutes before all is said and done.
Oh, they did have to rush it.
I do appreciate
that's true.
You expediting things and getting us back on track.
But you know what? I think it worked that it was rushed. I think it worked out really well that it was rushed. It was like to the point, pop, 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 pop. And yeah, maybe there's some things that need to be clarified later, but.
So we're not. So we'll go ahead and we're going to do a follow up on ISC and some about some of the talking points we didn't get to cover. But
okay.
For now, let's just jump right into some of the questions from the community that we have while things are still working before we lose you again. First question from the community: will soft death ships be repairable?
So that's a good question, and it comes first with, okay, what is soft death? So soft death is a bit of an interim solution due to the fact that we cannot actually currently in the game, let you damage power plants or relays or anything like that. So that means that, the way the game works currently, if you set something to 0 HP, it will just explode. Soft death allows us to bypass that a bit so that you get, a non-functional ship that you can still loot.
Okay.
With the physical damage system, we expect that to change, and instead of having soft death as its own thing, have it be more along the lines of, if you lose enough parts to your ship, you will stop flying or you will stop being able to fight. And whether that's repairable, it will depend. In some cases, some components are easy to change and repair. On the other hand, power plants for some ships are so large that you would need to tow the ship all the way back to port to do any kind of repair.
And that's one of the. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Torsten.
Yeah. So to add to that, the soft death that we currently have is basically just an interim solution to the proper soft death that will then come with what Guillermo just described.
And that's going to
provide. Moving forward. Sorry.
Okay.
Like even moving forward with Maelstrom, it will be more complex where players will be able to shoot away certain sections of the ship. So you don't even have to repair the ship items on it, but you have to exchange entire segments of the ship itself.
And when
exchange segments of the ship itself. That's an interesting way of saying it. Like, am I buying a segment of a ship and replacing it? To repair it?
Vehicles like the SR.
You think it means modules? I don't know. I don't know. I doubt it's that deep, but that's interesting. I know just going to a pad, we're going to see these things magically appear still. But I don't know, man. That's interesting.
Stuff come on, these vehicles.
Crafting's going to be a thing? Are we crafting these parts and pieces? I don't know. That was such an interesting way to answer that question. It opens so many doors.
Other ships and other wrecks. One of the virtues of that is they'll be able to grab onto these soft death ships and bring them back for repair.
In chat, it went nuts because we all have our thoughts on that, exactly. I guess.
So it's in the end, people should expect
to the point where I couldn't even follow it.
A more detailed damage system.
Sorry, let me scroll back a little bit.
So it's in the end, people should expect, especially in the long term, a more detailed damage system. A big example that came in the questions was crash landings. That the ship still tends to explode. In theory, as long as you have enough crumple space, so to speak, in the sense that you don't hit a mountain head on. With Maelstrom, you would probably expect to lose wing.
Oh, nope. That's where they lost him. But I think it's very clear where he was going. Is crash landings will be a thing, and that they'll what we're experiencing now will not be, because crash landings aren't a thing. In case you guys are aware, you soft death a ship goes to the ground, and it just blows up every time. So soft deathing a ship really doesn't give you the opportunity to board it or interact with the people on the ship the way you would like to, because the idea of soft deathing is to be able to interact with it after. Otherwise, you might as well just blow it up, right? So, yeah, I think over 99% of the time, it just ends up being a hard death situation. So,
did we lose him? I think so. It's one of those days. We had a really good 2 days at CitizenCon where stuff was like. This is my penance. This is my penance. We've lost Guillermo and Torsten right now. We're going to attempt to get them back here. Did that just what happened? All right,
do you think it's the internet over there? There was something going on with the internet over there. Everybody who was from like EU was having stream problems for me as well. So it could have just been something with.
We're gonna go back to the "we'll be right back" site sequence.
Cloud
and we're
services
see if we can do this
there
one more
or
time.
something.
Be back in a minute, everybody.
Okay. I mean, he comes back pretty quick.
Sending Guillermo back for this show, so we'll. Hi, everybody. So, yeah, we're not going to be able to get Torsten and Guillermo back for this show. So we'll attempt to address those things and have them back on one of the future shows that we have before the end of the year.
Very much a hindsight is 2020 thing. Why not have the people that are on a call be first, and then the people who actually work at the studio to be second? But it's very hindsight 2020, right?
Right now, who wants to ask me anything? I mean, I could just end the show here, or we could do.
Well, he doesn't end the
ask
show.
Disco. Ask Jared. We got a live chat, right? We got a live
asked
chat.
where my paycheck was. He ignored me.
What you got? What you got for me? You can let Guillermo and Torsten go since we can't bring them in, Dave. But let's see. What else we got? Anything? How are you? I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Is there anything of value in this section?
It's been a little hard coming down from the high of CitizenCon. CitizenCon was like, pinnacle of almost a decade of my time here.
Yes. Okay.
Making all that happen, and so the last couple weeks afterwards have been really hard.
A bit is something.
But yeah, it's to be expected. Any news on the railing? No, not from me. I don't make spaceships. What was your favorite and worst moment at CitizenCon? Give me a little bit to think about that. Jared, what are you most excited for this year? Most of what you just saw us talking about, the UI stuff.
Really? Okay.
I mean, it's not hyperbole when I say that UI is the one element of game production that touches everything else.
It's true, but there's cooler stuff.
I'm sure all of you, many of you, most of you, saw what that new star map does, saw what the new internal map is, saw what the new mobiGlas was, and how they will completely, totally and utterly, reinvent the experience of living in the persistent universe, and then had to go back to the game as it currently is and log in with the game as it is today. It's hard. It's hard. So the thing that I'm most excited about is getting that stuff in there. It's one of the reasons we launched this 5 weeks of CitizenCon follow-ups that we have with the UI stuff, because that is the stuff I'm most excited about. That you get that stuff in there, and everything else just changes after that. How many weed? What is that? Oh, it says how many weed CIG smoke in month? I didn't misread that. That was the syntax. That's what I was tripping.
Why
on the syntax.
even read that?
Can we get another Jared exclusive Starcloth demo? No. I still owe Chrome Ninja a call. I said I would call him afterwards, and I never did. I'm such a jerk. Is that model 3D printed, and where can we get the files? This is the Rocinante from The Expanse. Big fans of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. James, the two folks who make up
they are.
James Corey.
I was there when James Corey first messaged him. It was at Gamescom 2016, and he was like, "They just DM'd me." Cool.
Jared, where can I get that hoodie you were wearing? You have to hire in and work here several years ago. It's not even available today. What happened with the fire marshal at the after party? I don't know. I'm not the fire marshal.
There's a fire marshal at the
Jared
after
used
party?
voice without the video. No, it's the whole machine that brings them in is down. That's why we can't even do just voice, unfortunately.
The whole machine that brings them in is just down. Doesn't this seem like a bit of a complicated setup? Like they have the cloud was down. That's what I thought at the time. But dude, this seems just like overcomplicated. You know?
When are you and Tyler going to do a show together again? Man, if it were up to me, we'd still be doing Citizens of the Stars, man. We used to, we were always on that stuff together, but
the PC that powers Torsten went down. Okay, fair enough.
Reality happens, that we improved the quality of the of the other shows. ISC, not this one. This one's a POS this week. Really got to get this working, but the other show, it takes a lot more time, a lot more effort. So we couldn't continue the show that we just kind of got goofed off on and stuff like that. But I miss him. It was one of the best parts about CitizenCon was getting to hang out and be together. Question: do we know of any ships being completely reworked? You tell me. You're asking if you know of any. Do you? Weird question.
You work at the company.
How is everyone doing mentally after the hard push of the event?
What the fuck? They're asking you.
I kind of talked about it at the beginning of this part. It's big highs.
I love when the guy that works on the video team, who's in every group message possible, so he knows what to make content for, pretends like he doesn't know what's going on.
And often lead to big lows afterwards. It's the case with me and my particular brain chemistry. Other people can just go on and stay super high. But it was a high. It was a high. It was, whatever you guys felt watching it, imagine what it must feel like making it. It was hands down one of the better experiences of my entire time here. Let's see what else we got.
It was really good.
Lando, which Jordans are you rocking today? Not anything fancy. These are my Jordan Stay Loyal 2s in midnight blue. These are the ones I wear when it rains. So not the classic Jordan 1s or the Jordan 3s that I like. But these are more comfortable and they're a bit more watertight.
Maybe we get all these Jared's the main character stuff out of the way in this episode, and then we just focus on the game's development for the remainder of the SELs for the years. But
so I wear these ones.
Probably not.
Buying things on CitizenCon increase our concierge level? I have no idea. I have no idea. I have virtually no involvement with the concierge or the subscriber program. For my work, it's got to be for everybody. You are all citizens.
I like the way he said that.
Did you cry over server meshing? I didn't, but that story CR said was absolutely true. It was. I
don't know. People said that there was valuable info here. I haven't heard anything yet.
So I don't think I have anything to add to it. But he was, it was just one of those kind of, everybody gets together and kind of reviews what they're talking about, showing things to CR so he can, plus something up or send us in a different direction. And Paul Rendell has this video. He says, he goes, just casually. I think I've figured out how to demonstrate server meshing, because I mean, you remember, some of you remember, you still give me crap about it. We tried to tell a server meshing story at the beginning of this year, and the problem with it is that it's not a very visual thing. So if you can't show it, it's just a bunch of people talking. And we learned that the hard way. We kind of knew it. We thought we would try anyway, and it didn't work. So it took a year. It took the better part of a year, 9 months. And Paul Rand.
That explains why they never did a part 2. So why didn't they just say that? I have no fucking idea. Like, just admit your faults, for fuck's sake. Sometimes it's one of the most frustrating things about them.
Super stud that he is.
It's a super easy question to answer. Where's part 2? Oh, we're not going to do it because you know what? We don't think it hit very well, and we're looking for a way to explain it to you in a better way. Done.
Goes up and says, I think I've got a way to show it, and he shows this, and we're all just kind of like just anime eyes watching this thing.
But they just ignore
he did it.
Questions.
Yes, it works, but also we figured out how to demonstrate it visually. Because the thing works on the size and scale of star systems and stuff, so it's a very hard thing to show visually. And he did it, and it was a recording. Most of CitizenCon was pre-recorded, stuff like this. And Chris's response after he teared up, he challenged Paul to do it live, which is. Which if you want to know what it's like working for CR,
yeah,
he showed him this amazing thing, and then he was like, "This is great, this is wonderful. If you weren't a coward, you'd do it live." And then Paul and myself and a couple IT people spent the next 3 weeks, because it was just 3 weeks before, completely rejiggering that presentation in order to figure out how to do it live and stuff. So. That's probably my favorite thing about CitizenCon. Going back to that question, my favorite thing about CitizenCon is my favorite thing about working here, is that we don't chicken out. It's we don't take the easy road. If there's a way to do something that would be better, then even if it comes with more risk, and it almost always comes with more risk.
I know what he's referencing, and he's right. But I can think of a lot of places where you have.
Do it. That's
not at CitizenCon ever, though.
Why this
They've
is
never
the only place
chickened
that
out
lets
there.
me do this job. It's the only company in the world that would let me do this. And
that's true.
I love that. All right. I'm just going to check my chat to see if I've made anybody angry here. Nope, nobody's angry with me at the moment. So we're going to keep the questions coming. We got a few more minutes here. Do you look at questions that don't have the question prefix? No. Chat's too crazy. The question prefix.
Meanwhile, the chat was moving really slow, by the way.
Big capital letters surrounded by
manageable.
brackets. That's how I've trained myself over the years to try to pull these things out of chat. And I still miss half of them.
Because I caught this part. I came back for a moment.
If we're being honest with each other. Can you tease some upcoming ISC topics soon? Well,
okay. Tell me.
We said it earlier in the show, and it wasn't hyperbole. CitizenCon was 71 ISCs. It's if you wonder why if you wonder why no other game company does a weekly recurring behind the scenes docuseries in the middle of their development, it's because it's hard. It's really hard. But then to also do a big 2-day event where we basically dump an entire year's worth of ISC content in 2 days.
What is ISC again? I'm not sure. His definition of ISC is something completely, I have no idea. The F is on your end, guys.
While still having to make ISC content. Yeah, it's hard, but it goes back to what I said. It's not the easy thing. The easy thing would be to, take a quarter of ISC off or 2 quarters of ISC off or whatever. But, we don't do the easy thing. We do what we think is the better thing. So, yeah. So ISC topics for the remainder of the year are going to be a little, some of the things are ones you can expect. We got 2 weeks of IAE coming up. So
I cannot comprehend how in the hell an ISC topic could be bad towards the end of this year with what is coming? How are we not doing an ISC topic completely on tractor beams? How are we not doing an ISC on what's coming in 322? There are a number of things coming in 322. How are these not options that are out there? I don't understand. None of CitizenCon was about 322. Like, almost none of it. I don't understand how this is possible. There's so much going on that could be shared. That's a weird one to me. Maybe the tractor beam dev doesn't want to. It's literally Torsten.
So, pretty standard. These 2 weeks of every year are dedicated to ship content. So the next 2 episodes of ISC that air during IAE are going to be all dedicated to
the IAE is understandable,
the ships
though.
and vehicles that are
It's
debuting
what they do. It
at
is what
this
it
year's
is.
event. Then the week after that is probably going to be a look at Pyro Playground and the what's it called? The public test channel? Is that what we're calling it? Preview channel. The preview channel. It's going to be a bit about the preview channel and what it is and how it works and why things will come to it and why things will go from it and stuff. And then a look back at the Pyro Playground. For the folks who didn't get a chance to experience it and why certain things were this way and that way, and then we got like a 17-minute section that's just dedicated to camping and griefing at the spawn habs.
We saw this clip earlier. Yep.
You have the option not to. I understand the thing lets you. But it's a choice to do and a choice not to. Every one of us are capable of making those choices.
What do I think about this clip? I said it earlier when we were reacting to Burks, but I'll say it again. To work at a video game company and to actually have been on the internet and think that saying that makes any sense whatsoever is very ridiculous. To think that explaining to people how they should act on the internet makes any sense. It just doesn't.
And then we could do some 322 stuff that hasn't been announced on the public roadmap yet. So
also, this comment is also ridiculous to the point where I'm considering timing you out. Yeah, but online is full of sociopaths and psychopaths. If you give them the option, they will do it. I'm sorry, but doing things like that in a video game does not make you a sociopath or a psychopath. You're just playing the video game and going, oh, these are the boundaries the game is letting me play in? Well, this is crazy. Let's have a little bit of fun. I'm sorry, I'm not a sociopath or a psychopath, but given the option, sometimes you're going to take the option that is a little bit ridiculous. Okay? That's weird. I don't know. That's just a weird opinion to have.
Not ready to say what that is. And then, we got like 2 weeks after that for 322 stuff, and then we're done with the year.
Structural salvage? Hello?
And then I take my the thing that I dream about every 2 years, a 17-day trip to Walt Disney World, where I forget each and every one of you exists.
Yeah, we know that's true. And
sounds so good.
You'll hear about it on Twitter
World,
for 17 days in a row.
Will we see an ISC on structural salvage? Yes. Can we play as Bone in Star Citizen? No, there's only one. Will we see anything on bounty hunting or building interior soon? Soon is a relative term. You'll see something on building interiors probably next year. Work on building interiors was the teams that were working on building interiors were pulled off and reassigned to getting the distribution centers farther along for their release as part of 4.0 and stuff like this, and showcase at CitizenCon. So the work on building interiors is sort of slowed down for a bit, like I said too. But as the work on the distribution centers becomes more and more complete, those folks will be able to go back and resume their work on building interiors. It's like we say, the only constant in game development is change. We're going to check our chats and make sure nobody's angry at us again. I mean, I could make up another rule, but that's what I'm doing. I'm going to make up a lie and just say, hold on, I'm getting a message from my mom. But no, every once in a while, I just got to check and make sure that nobody's angry at me. When I call audibles like this. Should we get out the whiteboard?
Please don't. How much longer do we have of this?
What's your favorite character in The Expanse? Amos.
Oh, yeah. Amos is a good choice.
Let's see. Did you cry watching the Squadron 42 trailer?
Are they just going to ask, did he cry in every option?
Not cry. Because, it's you see me in there and whatever. It's I was one part of many parts of putting it together, scripting it and working out. Bone touched on it a little bit earlier in the show. We don't always show Squadron 42, but we don't always see it internally either. Everybody's got their work and everybody's got their thing that they're working on, and everybody's got their part of things that they're focused on and stuff like this. So we don't always see
it coming together.
We don't always have this opportunity to pull back and see how it all fits together. That's the stuff that CR and Rich Tyrer and those guys. That's the world that they live in. We're always just focused in these little areas. So getting to see,
it's kind of the world you live in, Jared.
Getting to see that come together. That video started as a little 2 to 3 minute thing. Oh, we're just gonna do a little thing. And then we was like, no, we can show this. And, we got to show this. And we got to show this. And we got to talk about this. And it's like, again, the easy thing would have been to do that little 2 or 3 minute thing we originally spec'd out. But we don't do the easy thing. We do what we genuinely and historically believe is the better thing, even if it's almost always the harder thing. And that was certainly what Hold the Line was. And I think the results speak for itself. It's anybody that was at the event, in whatever spare time I had, they probably heard me say, you need to make sure that you're in your seat at 4:30. Don't let any force on earth pull you out of that seat, because in that stage with that screen and that sound system and those 3,000 people in the audience, that was one heck of an experience, man. One heck of an experience. Let's see what else we got.
This is honestly
when are we getting Jared merch?
So did I. I mean,
all right. I'll sell you this for $75. You can buy some of my old cassette tapes, $5 each.
We need bobbleheads.
No, you don't need bobbleheads. That's rude. That's rude. I don't think Pete knows the story. I don't think Pete knows why my head bobbles. Everybody always like, we need a disco bobblehead. I broke my neck. That's why my head bobbles. I broke 2 vertebrae in my neck in the year 2000 and never healed well.
And he takes it very personally when you make the jokes.
And now if I stay too stationary for too long, the cartilage inflames, and it's just a constant forever pain because I'm too chicken to get the surgery that they keep telling me I need. So I bobble. It keeps it loose. It keeps me pain-free. But in case you ever wondered, in case you ever left a YouTube comment, hey, Jared, just stop bobbling your head, man. I'd like to, but it hurts. Just check our chat, see if we're in trouble. Or not. Hey, Lenny, are you in here? Lenny never came back. Lenny, are you ready with the with the raid? We're gonna raid a star. We're gonna raid a Star Citizen stream here. I think Lenny's in charge of it. Lenny is our recently added French community manager. Lenny, send me a message on Teams if you're ready. So we'll wrap that up.
Oh, it doesn't look like they're ready because there's so much more still.
Let's see, any more trouble? Any more questions? Will there be an NPC Jared in-game for in-game events? No. Guys.
You got to think Jared will be somewhere in the game. Whether it's the hat or just like some random reference.
I appreciate the request. I appreciate that it comes from a...
It would be crazy because like the some of the devs have been rock stars. Like there's no way, like everybody wants that and it should be a thing. I'm sorry, no content creator should really be in or anything. Maybe, I don't know. Like, again, I have a little Easter egg in the game that's like super sneaky, but there's some things that should be, and if I'm sorry, if there's one thing that should be, it should be the developers who have made this thing a reality should have their little mark on the game somewhere, and maybe they all put their little mark in, but who knows?
A good place.
Co is coming. Co better not be in this game.
But there has to be some part of this project where you guys can get away from me. Like, I only host this show. I'm not a good host. Look at me. Look at me right now. Look at me.
I don't agree. I think his mark should be in the game forever, because when the game comes out, he's not gonna exist in the capacity that he does now. And I think that there needs to be some remainder of him in the game because of what he meant for it. Right?
Like, this is not, I'm no professional
like, these shows
host.
Aren't going to be sorry, the way I said it is like really dark and weird, but I mean, like, the shows won't exist in the way they do now.
My job is to make this stuff from top to bottom, to write it, to produce it, to direct it, also like this. I only host it because I'm the guy in charge of hiring the host, and I just like it. It's my little release.
We know
each week, but it's not actually my job. My job is the making stuff. But it's like, because I do that, like, there's got to be some place where you can escape me. There's got to be some place where you can enjoy Star Citizen without having to deal with my big giant bobbly head.
I mean, but that's why it could be something subtle, but it needs to be there for all of the people, like Sean Tracy, Chris, like there's Dread Pirate Roberts, right? Richard Tyrer, and like people from like all the way back in the day too. Like, there should be a Wingman reference. There's just just a little thing, even if it's on like a Post-it note somewhere, right? There should be something somewhere everywhere.
And that should be in game.
To reference the history of the game.
Let's see, we got a message from Lenny. Jake is on it. Okay, Jake is on it. All right, so yeah, that's it, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging out with us. Sorry that we didn't get to the second half of our guests due to technical problems. We're gonna see if we can't square those things away before next week. Next week's show is scheduled to be members of the Life in the First Person and Taking Flight presentations. So the FPS and the ship gameplay stuff, Yogi and Jens and them.
You know what I would like to see is a midweek SCL, like on a Wednesday, where they cover what they should have covered this week. That would be nice.
So we got 7 days to figure this out and get this going. So hopefully we'll be on track, and then we'll figure out when we can bring Torsten and Guillermo back and get that done. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, because we need Torsten and Guillermo back.
We're going to start the raid here. You guys can start the raid.
Big.
Yeah, just...
Jared's trying to figure out how to be a streamer
for a moment
here.
I really like doing this. And I really like you. Thanks for letting us do this. I'll talk to you later, everybody. Bye.
Jared loves being a host. And he's good at it. He doesn't think he's good at it. He's pretty good at it. But there are definitely things that drive me insane. And it's the lack of openness of things sometimes, or the lack of understanding of the game and how we play it sometimes. But I think he's gotten so much better at that lately. Like when he's asked the UI questions and the customizability, like white backgrounds, like, are we really going to keep dealing with this? So, well, that was SCL. Hopefully it's never like that again.